Congress, in its infinite wisdom, passed this little provision tucked inside the National Defense Authorization Act, which, is exactly where all the most transparent and well-debated legislation lives, obviously. Starting December 18th, 2026, they are flipping the switch on automatic draft registration for every man between 18 and 26. No more forgetting to sign up at the post office. No more plausible deniability about the form getting lost in the mail. They're just going to scoop up your name, drop it in the database, and wish you luck, and the next international incident spirals into something requiring more bodies than the volunteer military can provide. The White House spokesperson gets asked about a potential draft and says the president does not remove options off the table. I'm going to tell you what that means. Hey, we might need to go fight in Iran. Please stand by. This is interesting. And I find this so wildly cool because when I was talking about this, doing my research for figuring out about what was happening here, people kept saying, yeah, but the draft's not going to happen. Oh my God. I'm happy I'm 29. I'm very happy I'm 29. I'm about to be 30 this year. I'm not really set up for the draft because of biological standards and the way we need younger men. And there are significantly more younger men ready to go fighting that war for me. Fighting that war. I'll be here. I will definitely be here. I'm not going to war. I'm so proud of you. I'm also schizophrenic, which is really cool. Or better yet, I should say I have SAD. I have schizoaffective disorder, which is really cool. I'm fun. Now, let me explain where the fun enters within this whole thing. The Pentagon very recently, tightened medical waiver rules and explicitly listed which conditions make you ineligible for service. I'll give you a list. Congestive heart failure, disqualified. Current treatment for schizophrenia, hey, disqualified. History of paraphilic disorders, disqualified. Multiple sclerosis, cystic fibrosis, organ transplants, attempts at your own life within the past year, all disqualifying. The military wants people who are physically and mentally capable of performing in the harshest conditions. And that's reasonable. It's reasonable if you are planning to send them into actual combat. Now, here's the detail that starts looking like a loophole the size of Grand Canyon. I'll explain this a little bit for you. Gender dysphoria is now being treated as a disqualifying condition under the current administration's policies. They are actively screening troops for it, requiring service members to disclose diagnosis and processing people out of the military for exactly this reason. Ladies and gentlemen, I just found your way out of the draft. So let me walk you through the logic that is going to spread through dorm rooms and basement apartments across America, much like wildfire through a dry grass forest. I'm gonna help you out here. Starting December 18th, if you are 18 to 26 and facing the possibility of being involuntarily converted into a ground troop for an escalating conflict with Iran, and the military has clearly stated that gender dysphoria makes you unfit for service, and they are actively kicking people out who have it, then the strategic move, it's become so obvious, blindingly obvious, you transition. That's it. You go to the doctor, you have the conversations. Hell, you might even start the process. You get the diagnosis, you put in your medical record, and suddenly, well, you're no longer prime draft material. You're a liability. You're a medical exception. You're the kind of person the military explicitly says cannot serve because of the significant risk on the battlefield. Now, I want to point this out. You don't have to start doing estrogen or tea or whatever it may be. You don't have to start doing that, right? You don't have to start doing that. But you can at least have it. You can just start going and do that now. It would be so cool if everybody just starts transitioning to get out the army. Holy moly donut shop. That'd be hilarious. I need you guys to start fighting fire with fire. And the beauty of my tactic, the beauty of what I'm saying right here, is that it weaponizes the administration's own policies against the war machine they are trying to fuel. They spent years passing executive orders and Department of Defense memos declaring that transgender individuals cannot meet military standards. They threaten mission priorities and unit cohesion. They must be identified and removed. Well, interesting. I understand that. That's fine. That's dandy. I get it. I completely understand. You're 100% correct. I completely agree. Every 19-year-old who just watched their name get auto-registered into the draft should be cool. I guess I'm trans now. See you at the exemption hearing. That should it be. The government cannot simultaneously argue that trans people are unfit for service and also draft them when the service becomes inconvenient. That is called a contradictions. And contradictions are exactly what loopholes are made of. Oh, picture it. I want you to picture it. I want you to imagine the scale of this. Picture the scale for 1 second. The draft registration applies to millions of men. If even a fraction of them decide that self-preservation outweighs whatever social friction comes with transitioning, you are looking at an explosion in the transgender population that makes the last decade look like a warm-up act. It's a warm-up, buddy. It's not about identity. I'm not talking about that in reality. This is about the most primal human instinct there is, which is not wanting to die in a war you did not choose, in a country you did not design, for reasons no one can adequately explain. The government created the incentive structure. The government defined the disqualifying conditions. The government automated the registration process. All that is left is for people to respond rationally to the incentives placed in front of them. So we arrive at two possible outcomes that are really funny to me. I think they're magnificent in their own way. Outcome number one. The world accepts that trans people are just part of society now because suddenly everyone's cousin, roommate, and coworker is transitioning, and the numbers become too large to ignore or marginalize. The military realizes they cannot fight a war because their entire draft eligible population has medical exemptions. The government is forced to either repeal the draft exemptions, which would require admitting that trans people were fit to serve all along and the previous bans were nonsense, or accept that the war would require negotiating with a population they spent years demonizing. Heaven on earth arrives not through this moral awakening, but through, and this is so fun, simple math. It's the simple math of self-interest. If everybody was just a little bit ridiculous, it'd be great. Everyone is fine and dandy and the missiles stay in their silos. Outcome number two is the one that, keeps me up cackling at night. The government, faced with a draft pool that has evaporated into a cloud of gender dysphoria diagnosis, decides to draft them anyway. They ignore their own medical guidelines. They send people to war who have documentation saying they are unfit. And at that moment, the prophecy kicks in. The book of Revelation, depending on which interpretation you favor, mentions wars and rumors of wars, and some of the more creative theological corners have already identified transgender acceptance as a sign of the end times. There are pastors who have been saying for years that the transgender movement is Babylon the Great. I don't know why they say that. It represents the iron and the clay feet of a Nebuchadnezzar's statue or something of that variety. I don't know. It's a whole thing. That it signals the moral collapse preceding the final judgment. If the government drafts these people, if they force them in a uniform and send them into the fight, they are essentially igniting the trans civil war that prophecy enthusiasts have been predicting since Revelation was written. That's right, a trans civil war. The government either accepts trans people or fight them. And either way, the draft ends. And either way, it doesn't. We're getting something. December 18th, 2026, that is the date. Mark it on your calendar. That is the day the government starts automatically registering every eligible male for potential service. That is also the day the most brilliant draft evasion strategy in American history becomes available to anyone with the courage to use it. The administration right now has spent years building the legal architecture to exclude trans people from the military. They wrote the memos, they passed the policies, they defended the bans in court. All that work is about to become the very thing that prevents them from fighting the war they keep threatening. You cannot build a fence to keep people out and then complain when they use it to keep themselves safe on the other side. You cannot declare a group unfit for service and then demand the service. The logic is airtight. The timing is perfect. The only question I have now is how many people figure it out before the bombs stop falling. Bombs start falling on your schools. Bombs start falling on your businesses. Bombs start falling in your hometown. New York is cooked. The Avengers are going to pop up there and ruin your city. You just paid off that car and the Hawk is going to throw it. You're done. Well, I'm ready for you. Whatever it may be. Let me know how you feel about my strategy. I'm out. Peace. Bye.
Good night, be my lower low. Happy to try what you need. Your world, I love to live in it. I love the ride when you